48 hours in, and I have to admit that we have an absolute monster. Welcome to part 1 of our comparison series, where we pit the Pixel 8 Pro, the OnePlus Open, versus multiple phones from this year. This is the breakdown. The Open has exceeded my expectations, just as the Pixel 8 Pro did previously. Today, I want to focus on the wide-angle camera, or ultra-wide. And the reason why I want to focus on ultra-wide is twofold. Most smartphones' main sensors are 24mm in focal length. This is suited more so for landscape photography, although it can be used for street, but typically street photography starts with like about 35mm. And the one thing that I have to say, there is a significant crop in video which pushes it to 35mm. So you see that mobile phones are actually making a pretty good compromise because a lot of people are shooting video with their phones anyway. The other reason, or second reason, is having wider focal length is a great way to document significant places that you visit by inserting yourself into the photo. So what I mean is this. You can actually get low with the camera, prop the phone up against something, and walk into the shot. So the equivalent 14mm focal length that's available on the OnePlus and the slightly wider on the Pixel 8 Pro make great examples of this. And one thing I'll say right off the bat is I think both systems do a great job of HDR. However, there is an update that's coming for the ultra-wide on the Open with respect to high res. So I did a lot of the stuff in 50 megapixels, which probably won't show up. It's only if you want to zoom in later or you're going to be blowing up shots. If you're going to do any astrophotography, I think they both do a great job. Let's kind of start with this moonshot. Now I focus on auto mode since we were testing out the ultra wide. And again, my thought process is use a timer, insert yourself into the photo so you can really capture the scene and show people where you are. So we'll start with the first photo. Now, I will say that you're gonna have to kind of trust me because not every display shows off HDR. Right now, I'm looking at the OnePlus Open. From what I see, there's a lot of contrast here. It looks like it's a warmer shot than the Pixel. The OnePlus Open has less contrast through, like if you look at the trees, but it still retains shadow detail. I think both of them still retain shadow detail. If I remember correctly, I felt like the Open wasn't quite as dark around the trees, but still, I think a phenomenal photo. And again, the Open was in auto HDR, so I'm sure there's gonna be updates going forward. Obviously, they render the sky a little differently. It's going to come down to preference. I think they both did a great job. Here's a classic ultra-wide shot, and this one kind of shows you the difference between the focal length. It's subtle, but it's there. So framed in the right spot, kind of difficult. This was kind of a low shot. Now this one, I see more of the difference where it's cool. Look at the color differences that you see. There's a little bit of a color shift between the two, but still I think a great photo between them. And this time you see more detail around, let's say if you're looking at the roof line right up to where the fascia is, you see that a little more, that retain more of that. So to me, what's happening here on the first few shots on the Open, the HDR is not kicking in all the way. That's what it tells me. So on the first few shots, I probably would go raw, do some edits. You probably could still do some on the JPEG. Now this is something I photo every time I go to Disney, and a lot of times what I like to do is when it's going up, I like to take a lot of, starting from the ultra wide all the way to the telephoto, because it's a great test of color shift, because typically it will be the only thing that you see in the sky, and for whatever reason it has been permanently down. So this is the example of the Pixel. So we went with the Pixel here, and this is the Open. And it's funny because it's not showing up here. I think I prefer the Pixel, but definitely on this display I prefer the Open. Pixel to me looks a little warmer, and I see a little cooler on the Open. Having said all that, these are phenomenal. So although it's early on, you can make a case for both of these phones. So speaking of case, if you're interested in rugged cases, I have the ultimate one right here. A company by the name of Caseborne, who I know the owner, his name is Carl, sent me out this case to try for the Pixel 8 Pro, and it's been pretty impressive. Very sturdy, protects the pixel at all costs, has a nice little lip over it. Now, one of the things about Caseborne that kind of shocked me is, I'll just pull out the box. So it came with a protective case. If you're in an environment where you want it on your hip at all times, it comes with a holster. So it comes with a holster, it comes with a protective case, comes with 2 screen protectors, and also the necessary installation materials for those screen protectors. So very impressive package. So I already had a screen protector on, but I would have gladly used the ones that were already, if I'd have known they were going to be in the case. So now you know. But the buttons are extremely clicky. And again, probably the most important part is this lip here. You have access to your USB-C and it's also protected for any dust. Closes right up. Yeah, very impressed. So that's the Caseborne case. I highly recommend it. Now let's continue on. All right, the main sensor comparison is up next, and for that, I will use Pro Mode mainly. There's been an update to the Pixel Camera app, and Pro Mode is working more appropriately. I mentioned in my first video on the Pixel 8 Pro that Pro Mode was not showing you exactly at the extreme levels of what you're supposed to be seeing. So YouTube should be recommending a video for you to watch here. And as we always say, with that, we're out.